King of Fighters 15 is looking to be a great experience come 2022, but let's think of ways that we can make it better. I know you got other things you might want to do and that, like, but this is important. This game's going to be great, so let's do that. First of all, let's start off with the angle. What do I mean by that? So, let me explain. What has lent, in my opinion, to the success of Street Fighter V is the visuals, obviously. And there's always going to be visual upgrades in games as they advance in their series. That goes without saying. And the same has been seen with Street Fighter V. If I can just focus on Street Fighter V for a second, no worry, you'll understand why I'm doing this. So if we compare Street Fighter 4 to Street Fighter 5, obviously visuals have been improved, but what has helped that is the fact that the camera is a little bit closer, and now we can, there's now more detail that is visible to the player, and this is a thing, this is important, it really is, because let's be honest and address that elephant, that Dumbo in the room. So King of Fighters 15 really, if we compare it to King of Fighters 14, is a graphics boost on a whole, with some cutscenes as well. It looks like it's going to be a lot of very vivid and very interesting cutscenes that weren't present in King of Fighters 14. But in terms of gameplay, it really seems relatively the same, which is fair to say, and there's nothing wrong with that. King of Fighters 14's gameplay wasn't bad or anything like that, but you could tell that they had a problem with the visuals with the graphical upgrade that came a little bit later. So we can definitely see that SNK is taking graphics very seriously with that upgrade in 14 and with the amazing upgrade here. And don't get me wrong, this is a good reason to buy the game. Like, this game looks absolutely amazing. But okay, so we are saying that a selling point of 15 is its graphics. Therefore, you want to bring them out as best as possible. And just one way of doing that, there might be other ways you can do it. I'm just saying that let's act on your selling point. Bring the camera a little bit closer. It's going to change the gameplay a little bit though, because the gameplay between Street Fighter 4 and 5 is very, very different. But so be it, because people have adapted to 5. 4, I like 4 more, but 5, is good as well. It's great actually. And also we do want to differentiate a little bit from your predecessor, right? I think that's to be expected. So one way you can do that is just bring that camera a little bit closer, so that we can just see, that selling point of yours that is making a bunch of people tune in every middle of the week, scratching their neck and just rocking forward and backward. It's for the graphics, it's not for the gameplay. The gameplay is the same, relatively the same, with a few new mechanics added, but the characters seem to have the same moves, maybe 1 or 2 added, but it's the visuals. So do everything you can, or I believe they should do everything they can to boost the graphics. So that's number 1. The second thing that can be done is, I think a lot of people will agree with me, if they played this game, you should heavily borrow design considerations of characters from Capcom versus SNK series. You should do that. You should really, 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 really do that. Because when Capcom vs SNK happened, the SNK characters had to be redesigned by the Capcom staff, and the recreation was fantastic. It was absolutely fantastic job. And it's not just like visuals were great, but like the mannerisms that came out of their animations was phenomenal. Like it's so difficult for me to. You'd have to like play it to understand, but like they really nailed it. Like I was a guy who really wanted Yamazaki to be implemented into King of Fighters 14, and he came into 14 as a DLC a little bit later. Now, one reason why I didn't pick him up, I really liked Yamazaki as well. Like I really just thought he was a great character. But I was introduced to him in Capcom vs SNK, not in any King of Fighters game. I don't think there was one King of Fighters I played that had him in. So the Yamazaki that I know, and I'll just focus on Yamazaki for now. There's a few that I could talk about, but for example, the Yamazaki I know was the Yamazaki from Capcom vs SNK, and that Yamazaki, the look on his face, like I know he's supposed to be crazy, and sometimes you see iterations of Yamazaki where he just looks absolutely just out of his mind. And alright, but this iteration of Yamazaki is concealed chaos or concealed crazy. It's like a sort of smug look. And when I was looking at Yamazaki, it was so cool. It was like he looked dangerous, it looked smug, but underneath it all was just like if you know what I mean. I'm really gonna find a way to describe it, so I just thought that'd be better. Yeah, he was just amazing. And the moves as well, like the drill was better. The drill looked way more brutal. Aside from one, there was one element of drill in 14 that was pretty good, but I think this move in Capcom vs SNK was way better. And there's a bunch of characters that their iterations in versus SNK, Capcom vs SNK, is just, in my opinion, worthy to be studied and seriously implemented. Terry with his power gazer, Geese's Raging Storm is how a Raging Storm is supposed to be. This 14's version is actually a literal Raging Storm, which no, the Raging Storm doesn't look like a storm, it looks like claws. Deadly Rave, make sure if you implement it, let the player input all the buttons of the move. We're not babies here, we're able to do that. So that's Geese. Kim's, there's a bunch of things about Kim. Hangetsan was better. The Shokaku, the air dive kick looked better. The current one looks so Hollywood to me, and I just imagine like Jet Li doing something like that in an old movie. And his Hoon Kyaku just looked way more crazier. Just past the guy, you just look like, I wouldn't want to be that guy. Rio, his hair looked amazing, and look just like, are you seriously challenging me? Are you mad? Like Ryoko Rambo of Rio as well. The Ryoko Rambo of Rio, obviously, we're all waiting for that last bit. I haven't heard a better Ryoko Rambu since versus SNK. Joe's anger. Joe just looked angry. Joe looks so happy right now. It's annoying. Joe's not the Joe I know. He just wasn't like that. He was screaming all the time. He was raging. That's the Joe I know. Like, he got it so like Rugal, him suited and booted to better look, and just in general with Rugal just looked better. Now that's it. Everyone else, you've done a great job, and obviously there's characters who wear the versus SNK, so that comparison can't be made. Thought whatever. No, they look great. Iori looks fantastic. Mai looks beautiful. You know, they have done a good job on some of the characters. With some of them, they really should go to that game and, you know, just see what the deal is, in my opinion. Lastly, so this is to do with characters. So there's a lot of characters that have been, and I won't go into many because I don't want to go too long with this video, but there have been many characters who have kind of been passed by, and they definitely need to make a re-emergence in this game. I'll only talk about 3, and then I'll talk about one that is an exception to the rule. I'll explain later. The first one is Guido, who seems to have some relations to what is going on in the latter end of 14, and he should make an appearance. He should be playable. I think his role in the story needs to be known. He seems to have an affiliation with Leona. I almost said Leona Lewis. Leona Hayden, and and whether that has any real bearing or implications is yet to be known. But you know, let's try and get to the root of that by making him a playable character, or at least let's see him. You know, because he did have relevance in 14. Next. And I'll kind of group these two actually, just to be quickly, and it's actually, I'll say 3 because one of them is a duo. So there were 2 characters in the Psyche Ash Crimson / arc that were passed by, and I actually don't know the name. I'll just put a little label of the names of the 2 that came up. Maybe they are unnamed actually to this point, but they had, one of them had like sort of like woolly, custard like coloured hair, and it looked like sheep's wool or something like that. Sheep's wool type of, yeah, you know what I'm trying to say. With an eye patch that was actually stolen from Hayden during some type of meeting or whatever. And they seemed, and this, I think it was a man, and if it wasn't, excuse me, he had a female companion who looked a little bit traumatized all the time. Black hair, black lipstick, childlike stature. Now, this character seemed, if not strong, very fast, because they were able to steal Hayden's eye patch without him even being able to react, and I believe they're wearing it to this day. And this character looks very interesting, and you know, as a result, it should definitely be a playable character. It shouldn't be somebody that just gets overlooked. It's, you know, I don't understand. Like, they've definitely moved sagas now, so you've left that character behind, and it seems like a great character. Implement him, let him be playable. And I apologize, but it is a woman. I'm thinking it might be a woman, but at the same time, I'm thinking it might just be like an androgynous male. But anyway, androgyny causes so much trouble. The next one is of the same saga, Botan. Botan seems to be a puppeteer, but she is able to control humans, as when she was controlling Adelheid, Bernstein's sister, whose name escapes me, but his sister was being controlled, and Adelaide Adelaide wasn't able to understand why this was occurring. But it was Botan behind the scene. Botan, if she gets implemented, she will have a very interesting moveset. You know, we have seen the the potential of puppeteer characters in certain series. Not to jump too much, but some have been absolutely great, and I think a fighting style like that would be very, very interesting. Botan should be in. Get it in, please, because you don't have the new characters anyway. She isn't exactly new, but she's new in terms of being playable. So definitely she should be implemented at some point. Now, to get to the exception of the rule, and I don't think they even need me to say this, they have done this unexpected job with this character. Just leave him alone. Don't put him in like any circumstance. Maybe one, but leave Ron out. Leave him out. Like Ron works as this mysterious character in the shadows who you don't know what he's like, you don't know how he plays. We have a bit of a clue, how he plays and what his capabilities are. But on the whole, I think if you ever implement this character, put him in characters' hands, the intrigue is gone. Years and years as well of intrigue is gone. It could be over a decade. It probably is over a decade. It is over a decade. It's 20 years. And he is just full of mystery. Keep it like that. The only way that it would be necessary to bring him out is if okay, you get to the point where we're done now with King of Fighters and this is going to be the last entry, and you just have him be like some type of Galactus type of battle, or I don't know, I can't really, Dust of Osiris. It's not the best. It's not the best example because I don't know a lot of people played Melty Blood. I didn't, but I watched the hell out of it. But if it's a battle like that, fair enough. But if you just make him playable, it's gone. Because it's like when Blaze Blue made that cat swordsman playable. It was just well, okay, yeah. And he was deemed to be the strongest fighter in the series, and he comes out and the intrigue is gone, the mystery is gone when they're playable. So don't make the same mistake with Ron. If you're gonna do it, make him a super ultra boss who's not playable, or maybe he is playable but he has but then he has this ultimate form that you can go to. But on the whole, I just don't think it's necessary. It's working. It really is working. They, at one point it was milking it, but now it's good. And so yeah, keep them out. Right. So those are my takes of what we could do to make this game better. Thank you for listening. I'm gonna go because this has been quite long. So yeah, thank you very much, guys, for being there and supporting me, and I'm gonna keep on going because this is fun. Subscribe, like, and I'll be back with other videos in the future. Thanks again. See you later.